Today we're looking deep inside the engine room of the global economy. We're talking about global shipping.
Yeah, a world that's often invisible but touches basically everything we buy and use.
Exactly. And for over 150 years, this whole industry has been controlled by, well, what one of our sources just flat out calls the mafia of shipping companies.
Strong words, but they point to these huge global groups, these maritime conferences or cartels. They really do control the flow of goods.
Your phone, your sofa, pretty much everything. And here's the really strange part, the twist. This whole system, it's been operating legally
Right under the noses of the world's biggest governments.
because its existence was seen as, well, crucial, but maybe regrettable, a necessary evil.
That phrase, necessary evil, you absolutely have to keep that in mind. It really defines this whole paradoxical setup. They're basically government-sanctioned monopolies.
Deciding who ships what, where, and crucially at what base price.
And their power. It became incredibly clear, almost scary during the supply chain crisis back in 2021.
Oh yeah, the numbers we found in the source materials are just shocking. They show how much money these companies pulled in when the world suddenly needed them most.
It was a perfect storm for them, financially speaking.
Okay, let's hit the big number first. In 2021 alone, container shipping profits, $190 billion.
Yeah, billion with a B.
And get this, that single year was 5 times the total profit these same companies made in the whole previous decade, like 2010 to 2020 combined.
5 times. And the profit margin really tells the story there. Normally, these guys operate on, what, maybe 3.7% to 5.7% margins. Pretty thin.
Right, standard for a tough, capital-heavy industry.
In 2021, that jumped to an unbelievable 56%.
56%.
56, more than 50 cents profit on every dollar of revenue.
And you felt that. We all felt that. The cost to ship a standard 40-foot box from Asia to the U.S. or Europe, normally, what, maybe $1,000 or $2,000?
Yeah, in that ballpark.
During the crisis peak, shot up to $10,000, often $15,000, sometimes even over $20,000.
A tenfold increase, easily.
For basically the same service. Sometimes slower service, even because of all the port jams.
Exactly. And when transport costs jump 10x, it doesn't take long for that to hit the price of everything on the shelves. Electronics, clothes, building materials.
It was like an inflation machine, fueled by these shipping costs.
Absolutely. Which brings us to the core question, Rainis. President Biden ordered an investigation in June 2021 looking into potentially illegal stuff.
Yeah, you'd think, okay, finally, someone's cracking down.
But based on the history, based on the economic arguments in our sources, researchers are saying, hold on. These government efforts, often just for show, and actually trying to dismantle the system might be basically impossible, or even counterproductive.
Okay, so why? Why would governments hesitate? To understand that, you said we need to go back. Way back.
Yeah, back to the mid-19th century. Because this whole cartel system wasn't initially born out of pure greed. It was actually born out of necessity, almost panic.
Panic? What caused the panic?
Ironically, it was technology getting better. 2 huge things happened around the same time that just flipped the whole shipping world upside down.
Okay, like what?
First, steam power. Steamships arrived. Suddenly, you weren't just relying on wind. You had regular schedules, faster journeys, predictability.
Right. Makes sense. And the second?
The Suez Canal opened in 1869. Huge shortcut. Cut the journey time between Europe and India from months down to weeks.
Okay, so faster, reliable ships, much shorter routes. Sounds like a recipe for cheaper shipping, right? A golden age.
You'd think. But it was the exact opposite. It led to economic chaos. Suddenly, there were way too many ships, all chasing the same amount of cargo.
Ah, oversupply.
Massive oversupply. And what happens then? Price wars. Our sources call it destructive competition, just a race to the bottom.
Companies cutting prices below what it even cost them to operate just to get some business.
Precisely. They were bleeding money. Huge, established shipping lines were going bankrupt left and right. The market was basically eating itself alive.
Wow. So the ideal of free competition, it was actually destroying the industry.
That's the paradox at the heart of this whole thing.
Oh.
And the solution, quote unquote, came out of that chaos. 1875, Calcutta, India, a group of British shipping bosses, nearly broke, get together in a room.
And they say,
enough is enough. We have to stop trying to kill each other. Let's organize. And that meeting, that's the birth of the shipping conferences, the maritime cartels, designed specifically to kill competition and bring order.
okay, so they decide to collude. But how do you make that stick? Cartels are notoriously unstable. Someone always wants to cheat, right?
Yeah.
Offer a little discount on the side.
Ah, yes. They needed a way to police themselves internally, and they came up with something pretty ingenious, actually. It's called the pooling system.
The pooling system. Okay, break that down.
Right. So the member companies in the cartel, they agree to fix prices, right? And they carve up the routes, allocate who serves which ports on a given line.
Standard cartel stuff so far.
But the pooling system is the enforcement. All the money earned by every member company on that specific route. It goes into one giant shared pot, a joint fund.
All of it.
Yeah.
Regardless of who actually carried the cargo.
All of it. Then, at the end of the year, they break open the pot. And the money is divided up not based on who shipped the most or who worked hardest.
But based on...
Fixed percentages they agreed on beforehand. Company A gets 20%, Company B gets 25%, Company C gets 15%, whatever it was. Doesn't matter if Company A had a terrible year and barely shipped anything, they still get their 20%.
Whoa, okay, I see it now. If I'm Company A and I try to cheat by offering a lower price to steal cargo from Company B,
Yeah, what happened?
I don't actually make more money myself. I just shrink the total size of the pot for everyone, including me.
Yeah.
And the other members get mad.
Exactly. It completely removes the financial incentive to compete internally. Discounting hurts everyone, including yourself. It's like collective insurance against bad luck or inefficiency even. It rewards cooperation, not competition.
That is deviously clever. Okay, so that keeps the members in line. But what about outsiders? New companies trying to break into their routes?
Yes. For external threats, they had what the sources call their economic arsenal. Much blunter tools.
Arsenal sounds ominous. What kind of weapons are we talking about?
Well, the most famous, or infamous, was the fighting ship.
Fighting ship. Sounds dramatic.
It was. If some small independent company dared to start sailing on a route the cartel controlled, the cartel would assign one of its ships, the fighter ship, to sail at the exact same time, on the exact same route.
Okay, and its mission?
Pure destruction. The fighter ship would offer absolutely suicidal prices way below cost. Sometimes they'd offer free shipping. Sometimes they'd literally pay customers to take their cargo.
No way. How could they afford that?
Because the cartel pooled its resources, they'd use the massive profits from their protected routes to subsidize the fighter ship's losses. They could bleed money on that one ship indefinitely until the small competitor just went bankrupt.
Wow. Just starve them out. Brutal.
Yeah.
Very targeted price wars designed for extermination. But that wasn't all. They also had ways to lock down the customers, the shippers themselves.
Right, the source called it slavery with a twist, these loyalty contracts.
Yeah, that's a good description. Two main types. First, the dual price contract. Pretty simple. You, the shipper, get a nice discount if you promise to only use cartel ships.
Okay, sounds reasonable.
But
Yeah.
if they catch you sending even one container with a non-cartel competitor, bam, huge fine. Wipes out any discount you ever got, and then some. It's a loyalty tax, essentially.
So, stick with us or pay dearly.
Got it.
What was the other one? You said it was more ingenious.
Oh, it was. The deferred rebate. This one is wild. Imagine you're a big company shipping lots of stuff. You sign up for the deferred rebate.
Okay.
You ship exclusively with the cartel for, say, 6 months. You rack up a nice 10% discount on all those shipments.
Yeah.
Sounds good, right?
Yeah, sounds like a standard rebate.
Except you don't get the money yet.
The cartel holds on to it. That 10% rebate is deferred. You only get paid that rebate for the first 6 months after you complete a second 6 months of perfect, unbroken loyalty.
Wait. So they hold my money hostage for half a year?
For a full year, technically, before you see the cash from the first 6 months. And here's the kicker. If, during that second 6-month period, you slip up even once, ship one tiny box with an independent line, you forfeit the entire rebate you already earned in the first 6 months.
That's incredible. They're literally holding your past earnings hostage to guarantee future compliance.
Precisely. It makes it almost impossible for competitors to lure away customers because the switching cost is enormous. You lose money you already thought you'd earned.
Okay, these tactics, the fighting ships, the loyalty contracts, this is textbook monopoly abuse, right? Stuff designed to crush competition, limit choice. How on earth did governments let this happen, especially the U.S., which was busting trusts like Standard Oil around the same time?
It's the great puzzle, isn't it? And the answer is, they didn't just let it happen, they actively enabled it. For decades, governments in Europe and America specifically wrote laws giving these cartels exemptions from antitrust rules.
They gave them a free pass. Why?
Well, back in the UK, as early as 1909, a big government report looked into it and basically shrugged. They called the cartels that necessary evil we talked about,
Mhm.
needed for stable trade. Chaos was worse.
Not the U.S.
The U.S. formalized it with the 1916 Shipping Act, full immunity from antitrust. The logic: shipping is just too damn expensive.
Yeah.
Building ships, running lines, massive capital needed.
Okay.
And the reasoning was, if you let these companies engage in cutthroat price wars, nobody will be able to make enough profit to invest in new, better ships. The investment dries up, the industry collapses, and that hurts the whole economy.
So the government almost felt like it had to protect these companies from themselves to ensure the ship kept sailing.
That was absolutely the thinking. Protect the industry's stability, even if it means allowing monopolies. And here's another twist. Many big customers, the shippers, actually supported the cartels back then.
They like the cartels.
Compared to the alternative, yeah.
Yeah.
The pre-cartel era was total chaos. Prices swinging wildly, ships maybe not showing up. The cartels, for all their flaws, offered predictable prices and reliable schedules. And for businesses planning global supply chains, that stability can be worth paying a premium for.
Okay, so the debate isn't just are they greedy, it's shifted. Is this regulated monopoly genuinely the only way to make global shipping actually work without collapsing?
Exactly. And that brings us into some pretty interesting economic theory.
Don't scare me with complex math now.
Haha, no, well, it involves something called games theory, specifically a concept called the empty core, or sometimes the empty heart.
Empty core sounds bleak.
It kind of describes a situation where cooperation is impossible, even if everyone wants it. It applies to markets that are inherently unstable.
Okay, the source had an analogy, right? The taxi one. Let's try that.
Right, the taxi analogy, perfect way to get it. Imagine 3 people, strangers, all need to get somewhere. A taxi costs $2,000, but it only holds 2 people.
Okay, 3 people, 2 seats needed, $2,000 per taxi.
The rational thing, cooperate. Hire 2 taxis for $4,000 total, split it 3 ways. About $3,333 each. That's the best outcome for the group. That's the stable core solution.
Makes sense.
But they're strangers. There's no trust, no enforcement mechanism. So what happens? They fall into this vortex of side deals. Person A whispers to person B, hey, ditch C, let's split one taxi, just $1,000 each.
Okay, C gets left out.
Then C goes to B and says, wait, ditch A, come with me, I'll give you a better deal, maybe $950 each. Then A comes back to C.
It just keeps cycling. No deal ever sticks because there's always an incentive for 2 people to undercut the third.
Precisely. That's the empty core. The desire to cooperate is there, but the structure of the situation makes stable cooperation impossible. There's always a momentarily better side deal.
And the end result?
Everyone gets frustrated, gives up trying to cooperate, and just hires their own taxi. They all end up paying the maximum price, $2,000 each. The lack of stable cooperation leads to the worst outcome for everyone.
Wow. Okay, so applying that to global shipping? A huge, complex market, tons of players, massive costs.
Unrestrained competition, the theory argues, creates that same vortex. Endless side deals, constantly fluctuating prices, zero stability, companies can't plan, exporters can't rely on shipping costs. It destabilizes entire national economies.
So the cartel, the shipping conference,
Yeah.
it acts like the referee, the enforcer that creates the stable core. The market can't create itself.
That's the argument. It prevents the destructive spiral of side deals. It provides stability, predictability. But yes, at the cost of higher prices and suppressed competition, it's stability through monopoly.
It really flips the script on competition being inherently good.
So is there proof this stability argument holds water financially? What if we just got rid of them?
Well, people have modeled this.
Yeah.
Researchers ran simulations. What happens if these cartels just disappear overnight?
And the results were fascinating. First, yes, shipping company profits would plummet. The models showed drops between 29% and 50%. Huge hit to their bottom line. Confirms the cartel boosts profits significantly.
Okay, so far so good for the anti-cartel argument. Cheaper shipping on the way.
But here's the kicker. The simulation also showed that the decrease in actual shipping costs paid by the exporting companies, it would be tiny, almost nothing.
Wait, how does that work? If the shipping companies lose half their profit, where does that money go? Why don't shippers and ultimately consumers like me see that price drop?
It comes back to those huge upfront costs. Remember, building a giant container ship costs billions and takes years. That's a massive sunken cost. Money you invest that you can never get back if the whole thing goes bust.
Right, you can't exactly sell a half-built megaship for parts easily.
Exactly. So those high, stable profits the cartels guarantee, investors see that as absolutely necessary fuel for investment. It's the security they need to risk billions on building new ships or expanding fleets.
So without the cartel guaranteeing those steady high profits,
Investment dries up. Companies get scared. Why build a massive new ship if you think a price war could break out next year and make your investment worthless? The risk of destructive competition paralyzes them.
and if nobody invests in new ships, but global trade keeps growing.
Eventually, you get a shortage of shipping capacity. And what happens when demand outstrips supply? Prices go up again for the exporter, possibly even higher than the cartel was charging, just because there aren't enough ships to go around.
So trying to break the cartel could actually backfire and lead to higher prices in the long run by killing investment.
That's the paradoxical outcome suggested by the research. Dismantling the system could trigger the very instability and capacity shortage it was meant to fix.
And so those government investigations, like the one Biden ordered, they're facing this really deep structural problem. It's not just about slapping fines on greedy companies.
No, it's much more complex. The sources really paint a picture of a market failure, where the market itself bizarrely created this monster, the cartel system, essentially to save itself from self-destructing.
It's a functional reality that clashes hard with our ideals of free competition.
Absolutely. Which leads us to the final thought, something for you, the listener, to chew on.
Okay, lay it on us.
If the stability of global trade, the system that delivers almost everything you own and impacts prices everywhere, if that stability fundamentally depends on a structure that requires sanctioned monopolies, high prices, and actively crushing competition, what does that really tell us about the difference between the free market we idealize and the messy, maybe compromised functional reality needed to actually keep the world's economy running?